What if a forgotten Malaysian coin in your collection could be worth far more than its face value? Today, we uncover Malaysia's rarest and most valuable coins, exploring their history, hidden errors, collector demand, surprising prices, and the extraordinary stories behind coins claimed to be worth millions. Imagine finding a tiny Malaysian coin in an old box, a drawer, or even forgotten pocket change, and discovering that one unusual detail could make it far more interesting to collectors. Today, we are looking closely at the Malaysia 5 Sen 1982 coin, a piece of history that deserves a much closer inspection. The 5 Sen 1982 belongs to Malaysia's first series of circulation coins, issued during an important period in the country's modern monetary history. The coin features the denomination and hibiscus, Malaysia's national flower, while the opposite side carries the parliament design. It was part of the 1967 to 1988 series. But here is where the story becomes interesting. The 1982 issue is not automatically a $1 million coin. In fact, millions were produced, with reported mintage around 118.6 million pieces. That means the ordinary circulated example is generally inexpensive. So why are collectors still checking these coins carefully? The answer is condition, varieties, and errors. A normal circulated 5 Sen 1982 may be worth only a small amount, while an unusually well-preserved example or a genuine mint error can attract much greater collector attention. NGC also notes that varieties exist for this issue, giving collectors another reason to examine the details closely. Now look carefully at your coin. Check the date, lettering, rim, surface, and the alignment of the design. Then compare both sides under good lighting. You are not simply looking for an old coin, you are looking for something that differs from the normal production standard. And there is another clue many beginners overlook: the surface. Heavy scratches, cleaning, corrosion, or damage can dramatically reduce collector appeal. A coin that appears shiny because it was aggressively polished is not necessarily more valuable. Original surfaces and sharp details are much more important. The coin itself is small, measuring about 16.2 millimeters and weighing roughly 1.42 grams, with a copper-nickel composition. These specifications can help you identify the correct Malaysian 5 Sen 1982, and they can also help when checking whether a suspicious example deserves professional examination. Here is the suspense: what if your 5 Sen 1982 has a genuine mint error? Off-center strikes, unusual die problems, doubling, clipped planchets, or other authenticated production mistakes can transform an ordinary-looking coin into a much more interesting collectible. But never assume every strange mark is an error. Damage after leaving the mint is extremely common. Now we reach the value question everyone is waiting for. Some online videos make extraordinary claims about Malaysian coins reaching millions, but there is no reliable evidence that an ordinary 5 Sen 1982 is worth $2.5 million. A sensational $2.5 million figure should therefore be treated as a hypothetical extreme scenario, not a guaranteed market price. Current catalog references place ordinary examples dramatically lower. So if you own one, don't throw it away, but don't assume you're holding a fortune either. Compare the specifications, preserve the coin without cleaning it, photograph both sides, and if you believe you have an unusual variety or genuine mint error, seek an experienced numismatist or reputable grading service. And this is exactly why coin collecting is so exciting. A 5 Sen piece can connect you to Malaysian history, minting technology, design, and the global world of numismatics. Tell us in the comments, do you have a 5 Sen 1982, and what condition is it in? Your coin could provide the clue for our next investigation. If you enjoy discovering the hidden stories behind old Malaysian coins, stay with this series, because the next coin may have an even more surprising history. Sometimes the smallest coins are the ones that make collectors look twice. What if a small Malaysian 10 Sen coin from 1982 is hiding a story that collectors around the world would never want to miss? At first glance, it may look like an ordinary pocket coin, but its age, design, condition, and possible varieties can make it far more interesting. Stay until the end, because the biggest surprise is connected to its potential value. The Malaysia 10 sen coin belongs to an important period in the country's modern coinage history. These coins were issued during the era of Malaysia's familiar national designs, making them a fascinating piece of everyday history. For collectors in Asia, Europe, the UK, the USA, and beyond, Malaysian coins can offer a window into the country's changing economy and culture. Look closely at the obverse, and you can see the denomination and national identity represented in the coin's design. The reverse features the distinctive Malaysian national emblem, while the overall appearance reflects the standards of Malaysian circulation coinage of the period. That combination of history and design is exactly what makes older world coins so enjoyable to collect. But here is where things become more interesting. Not every 10 sen 1982 coin found today will have the same collector appeal. Condition can make a dramatic difference. A heavily circulated example may have ordinary collector value, while an exceptionally preserved coin with strong details, attractive surfaces, and minimal wear can become much more desirable. And then there is the detail many people overlook: errors and unusual varieties. Collectors carefully examine coins for off-center strikes, doubling, die cracks, unusual lettering, damaged dies, planchet problems, and other minting abnormalities. A genuine mint error can sometimes attract significantly more attention than a normal example. So before you dismiss an old Malaysian 10 sen as simply spare change, inspect it carefully. Look around the date, lettering, rim, emblem, and major design elements. Compare both sides under good lighting. Even a tiny irregularity can be worth investigating, although not every unusual-looking mark is a genuine mint error. Another important factor is authenticity. Online listings sometimes show enormous asking prices that do not represent actual market sales. Serious collectors rely on condition, verified varieties, provenance, and comparable auction results rather than a dramatic number in a random advertisement. That distinction is essential when researching any supposedly valuable coin. Now imagine finding one in an old collection, inherited coin box, or forgotten drawer. Would you recognize the details that matter? That is the challenge of coin collecting. The valuable clue is often not obvious until you know exactly where to look. If you enjoy discovering hidden coin history, this is where the search becomes exciting. For value, a normal circulated 10 sen 1982 should not automatically be considered a millionaire coin. Its real worth depends on condition, rarity, authenticity, and whether a recognized error or variety is present. However, for this video's extraordinary value scenario, we are discussing a headline figure of $1.9 million, a figure that should be treated as a speculative claim, not a guaranteed selling price for an ordinary coin. That is why professional verification matters. If you believe your 10 sen 1982 has an exceptional error or unusual variety, do not clean or polish it. Cleaning can permanently damage collector value. Photograph both sides, record the weight and measurements, and seek an experienced numismatist or reputable grading service before believing any huge valuation. Now it is your turn. Do you have a Malaysian 10 sen 1982 coin? Check the date, condition, lettering, rim, and design carefully, then tell us in the comments where you found yours and what condition it is in. Your discovery could help another collector recognize an interesting variety. And remember, the real treasure is not simply a huge price tag, it is knowing what you are looking at. From Malaysia's 10 sen coins to rare British, European, and Asian issues, every old coin can carry a story. Keep checking your collection, because our next coin could be hiding an even more surprising error: : What if an ordinary-looking Malaysian 50 sen coin could hide a story that collectors around the world would love to uncover? The 1984 50 sen is more than just old pocket change, it belongs to Malaysia's fascinating coinage history, and today we're examining its design, rarity, errors, collector interest, and the truth behind extraordinary value claims. The 50 sen denomination has played an important role in Malaysia's modern currency system. Coins from this era were used widely in everyday transactions, which means millions of people may have handled them without realizing that certain dates, conditions, varieties, or minting mistakes can make a coin far more interesting to collectors. Now look closely at a 1984 example. The first thing to remember is that age alone does not automatically make a coin valuable. Collectors examine several clues, including condition, scarcity, design details, unusual varieties, and especially genuine mint errors. That is where the search becomes much more exciting. The reverse design features Malaysia's national identity, while the obverse carries the denomination and date. After decades of circulation, many examples show scratches, discoloration, and wear. But a sharply preserved specimen can attract significantly more attention because condition plays a major role in numismatic value. Here comes the mystery: could two apparently identical 50-cent coins actually be worth completely different amounts? Absolutely. A normal circulated coin may have only modest collector interest, while an authenticated rare variety or major minting error can become much more desirable. So check the details carefully. Look for unusual doubling, an off-center strike, clipped planchet, die cracks, abnormal lettering, missing design elements, or other characteristics that appear to have happened during production. However, damage that occurred after the coin left the mint is not the same as a genuine mint error. And this is where many online coin value videos become misleading. A dramatic price attached to a coin does not automatically mean every example is worth that amount. Serious collectors rely on documented sales, authentication, condition, rarity, and market demand rather than a random internet claim. If you own a 1984 50-cent, don't clean it just because you think it might be valuable. Cleaning can permanently damage the original surface and potentially reduce collector appeal. Instead, photograph both sides clearly, protect the coin, and compare it with trusted numismatic references or seek an expert opinion. Now we reach the question everyone has been waiting for: what could it be worth? Some online claims attach an astonishing figure of $1.3 million to rare Malaysian coins, but there is no basis to say that every 1984 50-cent is worth $1.3 million. Treat that number as an extraordinary claim requiring documented auction evidence and professional authentication, not a guaranteed value. The real opportunity is identifying what makes your individual coin unusual. If your 1984 50-cent has an authenticated major error, exceptional preservation, or an extremely scarce variety with strong market demand, its value could be substantially higher than an ordinary circulated example. That is why collectors inspect before they spend. So, take another look at your Malaysian coins. Check the date, surfaces, lettering, edges, and unusual details under good lighting. If you discover something that looks different, tell us in the comments what your coin says, what condition it is in, and which country you're watching from. And don't stop with the 1984 50-center. The next coin in this series could contain an even more surprising variety, a rare error, or a collector story hiding in plain sight. Keep checking your old coins, because sometimes the smallest detail is the beginning of the biggest discovery.